Hello there team, welcome back. Today we're going to be having a look at probably, I might just commit to it and say my favourite game. Oxygen Not Included. At least favourite within a genre. Like, oh my god, I'm going down a rambling path already. You know, like, it's obviously not a story-based game, it's a spreadsheet engineering sandbox sort of thing. But, I don't know, I've put a lot of time into this game since it's come out, since it was announced, so over the years, and I just love it. This is my time sink. Anyway, so for those not aware, we've just shook things up on the channel a little bit recently, doing 3 videos a day, regularly showing new games at the same time, and then we're sort of doing extra Let's Play episodes if they, if the stats deem them so. So I'm quite happy to do organic playthroughs as the community wants them. And I'll probably put a provision for, you know, sort of covering whatever I want in there as well. But we're at an important point now where I sort of need to not have filler, but I have some slots that I need to sort of put something in because we haven't really laid a base with the new system of new games. So I want to play Oxygen Not Included because I think it deserves its time in the sun. I think there's a few of you that are still, like, I have streamed this a couple of times and there's a few of you very interested in it, so we'll put that down sort of thing. I'm also toying with the idea, just real quickly, I know this deserves its own update sort of real quickly video, but I'll put it here on the front because I know there's guys watching and listening. Regards to me talking about, because I've got like a members sort of subscription method. It's the lowest price on YouTube, basically. There you go. I'll work out some sort of shill sort of call to action in the beginning, but you're welcome to join to show your support. What I'm going to end up doing is probably putting like the next episode of a game there, sort of ahead of time as well. I mean, probably not going to happen on this one because, to be honest, I'm under the pump for the clock a little bit. Like, I'm going to bash this episode and get it out. But I think what we might end up doing is like, hey guys, here's an episode of Thingo, but if you really want the next episode now, then you can just, you know, jump on that sort of members thing. I don't think there's any harm in that, and it helps me with my workflow to make sure I'm an episode in front anyway. Let me know what you guys think of that as well, whether you are a member or not. Like, I'm curious what someone's perspective on that is, because I put the membership there anyway just because people want to support me, and they should have that avenue. But I thought to myself, yeah, I might as well give you like early access to an episode as well, you know, because it actually really doesn't cost me a huge amount other than keeps me honest and keeps my workflow strong. But anyway, bit of a long intro. We're going to play Oxygen Not Included. Not really given a pitch or an intro to this game because it's not brand new. Survival. So there's all sorts of difficulties. Now, truth be told, because anyone that's followed me on this channel for a while, you know I'm the king of just starting games. I play the beginning of games quite a bit. I've never finished this game. I've never actually clocked it. So, ideal. This is the very base level one, and then, you know, as you go up, they become a little bit more interesting. But this has unusual features, so my plan... Now, obviously, if no one watches it, no one gives a crap and no one's interested, which I think is unlikely. I think this game is a bit of a sleeper hit and people like it. But my plan is, as long as people are watching this and enjoying this, we will do a playthrough, hopefully to the full, complete, long ending of this game. There are 2 endings. There's like 2 colony requirements. One's just sort of grow your population to a thriving sort of colony. And then the other one is, what do you want to say? The other one is launch into space, which is something I've never actually really done before. Oh man. Okay, well anyway, cool. Alright, well let's kick off. I don't really worry about the stats and the dudes that much at the beginning. I don't think it makes a huge difference to your colony. Now, obviously, a lot of people are big on not putting too many dupes in their colony. Like, part of me, that feels unnatural. Dupes are the guys, by the way, these little dudes. I'll explain my sort of build mentality as we go. But, yeah, they suck up so much oxygen, man, and heat production. The food is actually what really it causes me early trouble. What are we doing? Okay, so... my recent sort of build mentality has been in these little modular blocks. You know I like modular blocks. these little modular blocks of 4 by 3, because that is the minimum size for a room overlay. You can see this technically as a room, and over here you can turn these into specific rooms, like a washroom and that sort of stuff, right? But it's all 12 tiles, right? So I find 4 by 3 is the most reasonable layout for a tiny room. So let's just say we start from that theory. Now, I do lots of different builds. I sort of... anyone that's seen me do earlier playthroughs, I come up with this idea of doing Jeffries tubes. If anyone's a Star Trek fan, you probably get that reference, and you'll see how they manifest. But essentially, I create like access footpaths between the sort of, let's say, living areas. I don't have any metal, do I? No. So what's going to happen is, because this printing prod is actually 4 high, what I will do is I build them in sort of like city blocks. If you want to compare this to an anno or a city skylines to get your mindset, because it's the same sort of game, I still do the same thing. So I'll build one here, and I'll actually do a 2 by 2. So I'll build 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, and surround it with road access is the way we think, right? That way, each of those buildings are easily accessible, and there's a sort of a 2-point location system for the waypointing for the guys. So they'll go up or down once, and they'll go left or right once, and they should be where they arrive, within reason. Apart from, like, maybe at the beginning, like when they come out of another room. But generally speaking, the coordinate system is pretty straightforward. It might not be the most efficient for pathing. Like, over long distance, they might try and zigzag. I'm not sure about that. But we're talking about, like, city layout theory, I guess. The printing prod, because it's too high, I will let that take up sort of 2 rooms, so there'll be a bit of dead space above here, but that helps me for my sort of idiosyncratic engineering sort of based brain, and I'm sure people can appreciate that. Oh look, the muckroot and all that sort of drowning down there. So ultimately what would happen is, I'm just going to put some placeholder stuff. I don't really mind overbuilding, but it helps, because obviously I'm talking to an audience, it helps people get on the same page as me. If they can sort of see what I'm doing. So here, this will be our first sort of Jeffries tube down here. Now I can replace all these parts with walls. I don't really see a huge point in doing it just yet. I might as well use the natural stuff there as long as possible. A little cute little hatch. This is interesting, this flat sort of water. That's a bit of a pain because I'm going to have to turn that into some sort of reservoir. You obviously try and pump out of the natural landscape if you can help it. Alright, so we're also going to need to set up a pump as soon as possible. Now, one other thing as well. I used to, again, reference to the people that have followed me before and watched my things before. I used to do a sump, right? I still do a sump. Anyone that knows anything about sort of engines and sort of, you know, drip catching, oh my god, these guys are going to get themselves killed. You know what? We're just gonna do this. Come on, before he drowns. The sump I would use the bottom sort of Jeffries tube as. I have a sort of iteration on that at the moment, which is, this should still be a livable passageway, so it should be oxygenated, and it will be. What's going to actually happen is, below here, we will have a sort of, let's call it the sub-basement, right? It'll be the machinery space, the bottom half of the colony, because there are a lot of buildings that you can actually put in a position where they don't need to be, like, manhandled. And that's something I never really considered. Anything that can sort of be automated without your dupes actually having to maintain it, because apart from blowing out a circuit, things don't degrade. Things don't actually need maintenance. So as long as your power grid's steady, and you haven't got any issues going on or leaks or anything like that, then there are entire rooms that I could put down under my base in an unbreathable sort of space that my guys will never need to go to. So, I mean, it seems obvious when you say it out loud. Of course, like batteries and that, there are certain things you just don't need to use. So I build a sub-basement with flow areas for sort of errant gas that I don't want and don't need, and put other buildings down there. At least that's my working theory. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I need to put a pump in here, and this is the interesting thing, because what I should do is build like a pump room. It's still early days, because if I build a reservoir of water, same sort of thing. I could, like, especially with polluted water, if I start collecting it, it gets really large. But the thing is, it doesn't need to be maintained. all it needs is a delivery system of getting water into it, right? So you can actually put your reservoirs underneath and potentially have a pump system, another little pump room up here that remotely sends it down with a pump system. But we're getting ahead of ourselves because that's not really going to be that helpful just yet. What I might do... See, because it's so flat, it's kind of crap, isn't it? You'll see what I mean, because the pump's unwieldy, like that. They should be able to access that there, I think. They should be able to drop down from that block. The other thing with the sub-basement design that I'm talking about, because I want it to sort of be inherently off limits to my dupes, you have to design it with a lot of like gas allowing walls and that to sort of stop them using it as a passageway. So it has to have these sort of miniature sort of Titanic strongholds. Okay, so now we've got the pump, we've got that going there. Okay, that's fine, that's cool. Alright, what we might do is we'll extend up here. Actually, probably should have done this. We'll do that. It helps my brain. Whoa, 1, 2, doop, 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 doop. Like so. 3 by 3. What have I done wrong there? Oh, it's that. Copy. I guess we can just do it like that, right? Rip all that out. Yeah, here we go. Need a little bit of metal. Now, as far as storage bins, I'm still trying to come up with sort of like a best method. I've been putting oxygenators on the corners in the early days. I find that's actually really quite helpful. So maybe what we'll do is... I've also found that having like dispersed storage bins is sensible. So they have less of a distance to travel when they do transport goods. Alright, so what do we need? No oxygen generator built. We should probably build that. You know what? I usually make hybrid rooms early. What I'll do is I'll actually make a power room first. Batteries. Again, I'm happy to just keep everything up above. It's still too early days for the sub-basement idea. For working with this sort of room, this is a bit difficult because obviously this landing is going to be too high. So what you can do, I find, is you can squeeze a tiny little... 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, no, that'll work. That'll work like that. You can squeeze like a little landing, a little mini room in here. We'll get these going as well. We'll go 1, 2. We'll strip that out. We'll strip that out. It's similar to how I was approaching the analytics on my channel for people that watch that lengthy video. It's just, you control components of the system as much as you sort of can. That's how I think. Alright, so now they're going to go and have a sleep and have a feed and that sort of thing, so we'll just wait that out. Yeah, so we've got some work to do. It's good. It's good, good. So what I'll probably do is I'll put the batteries there in that landing. I don't think... Oh, no, I got a little bit of metal then. Probably not enough. No, not enough, but that's... We'll put a battery landing there. Now we're going to have a power reserve. We need to place down... The food thing's not a big deal because it's still going to be a good couple of days before we run out of food. Oxygen's not that bad, but you have to be cognizant. Usually in bases you can sort of just dig the bottom out and let that happen. I don't really want to connect these two water sources because this will then just disappear and that becomes a pain. What I probably want to do is push this sideways. I mean, ultimately there's nothing wrong with having the water down there. It's just that as... Well, I don't know, maybe I should just go hard in trying to get a proper reservoir set up early, since the water's kind of in a favourable spot. I don't know. Let's see. We'll just connect them like that. I know it's a bit ugly, but whatever. We need more metal. What's going on here? Boom. Just let them go. They've all got their little things to do. That's the thing. Like, the smart money is to not put too much strain on your colony members. Don't, well, rather, sorry, not have too many members so you don't actually strain your resources. But then will actually hurt your sort of work rate a little bit. And that's okay. You just have to be aware of it. And again, so we'll put these up here. We've run out of copper, and that's okay. We'll just dig some out of the roof. Alright. So far, so good, right? Not bad. It's all starting to take shape. I guess we could put like a wall there, you know. We're going to want to move that food box. It sort of throws a spanner in the works of what I'm doing here. Actually, you know what? Because we need to put a food source, because the game really wants that to happen, we'll put that there. Alright, hang on. Let's lay this building out. Let's go. 3 high. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you would go down like that. I suppose then we'll do this. Right. And then, see, you see what I mean? It's a little bit awkward, especially if you're like me and you're idiosyncratic as buggery. Alright, there we go. We'll just leave those bits there. Less work for them to do at the moment, because we don't have a lot of manpower. Alright, so that'll start making a little bit of a difference there. At least on the corner, that gets as much natural flow as we're probably going to get without creating an actual HVAC system. And again, this is an ideal reference to what I was saying before. I'm trying to drive traffic into these passageways. They will just pass through here as a shortcut. So it's a little bit placeholder for the moment, but hey, you can't have everything in the early stages of the game. Alright, now, run that back onto the grid. Cool, and we should have all of our little basics ticked over, our necessities. Alright, so let's have a think about this. I want to start, yeah, I potentially actually will. The only reason I wouldn't drill that water down there and make a reservoir now is because I don't really have the technology to support it. I'd want to have a pump system, right? Let's see. Let's see, this is a design I'm still working on in my head, but I'm happy to go straight into it. I could build them beds, or then I could not. Who cares? Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to actually start up here. Let's get the skeleton laid down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that. Right. We'll run a ladder down here. Okay. We're looking alright so far. Just dig out some of this crap along the way. Right. It's like sculpting. Here we go. What am I missing? No, that makes sense. There we go. And you can see why sometimes I'll just build the bloody walls anyway, because it's easier to keep track of what you're actually up to. Alright, so I've just built the basic layout for a room. It's going to be a little bit different because this will be water storage. So let's have a think about this. What we ultimately want is a place to draw from on a pump within a room. You can see there it's taller than the room. That's the problem. That's why it's going to have to be double size, or taller than the, you know, the standard room that I make, right? So if we were to go Draw from there. Excuse me. We'll put a bottle emptier here, but we could probably put 2. Oh, you know what we actually probably need is we should have an access ladder in, you know, for the sake of proper maintenance and design. If something goes wrong, we need a ladder. Let's get a new dude. I don't see the harm in having another dude. Oh, look at that. That's so cute. Alright, what are we going to get? Farts frequently. Increase air consumption rate. I don't mind the air consumption rate. That's fine. Farts are a pain in the bum. Because it's natural gas. Which is a gas that, like, you can see a bit floating around in here. You can't do much about it. Now, we're not necessarily going to turn on the pump, this bottle emptier yet. Because, unless it tells... Yeah, see here? It just says water. Now, I've noticed this. Maybe the devs... Like the devs are ever going to watch this. But if you play this game, you might not realise there's a bug that until polluted water exists in my colony in this early day, because no one's weed or anything like that, we actually haven't discovered polluted water. This actually generalises sort of all water. They might have fixed it, but I've discovered, I believe it was on a live stream, where I set that to water, and then someone weed, so then it automatically like decided that that included polluted water, so then they started emptying polluted water into my reservoir. So we're gonna wait for polluted water to exist before we do anything. But anyway, so that's broadly our room. Oh, this might work. We're going to want to put a pump in there. Now, that's only 1 by 1. Now, the thing with this is if I were to put a pump there and then build that on top, it would sit above it. But now I won't be able to build it there. That's alright, I can work with that. That's cool. This room will kind of work. We should build walls around it because I don't want the water to erode through. So we'll just fill in the gaps there, but we're going to need to get research going. But that's good to know that that worked. Alright, so here we go. Let's dig out this other city block. That's oxalite. That's alright. It still should work fine dug out. I think it's one of those things I've never really checked. Oxalite emits oxygen into the environment that it's in. So it's sort of a good early free source of O2 when you're not making any. But I wonder. I've always wondered what happens when I dig it up and, like, does it sort of make it go dormant? I don't really know. Oh, we're going to put a ladder up here. There we go. Yeah, so guys, look, if you're a bit of a fan, I know we do have a community that enjoys my stuff, and it's quite flattering, and I'm still getting my head around it, but if you find yourself with me on this sort of new wave of let's go hard back to Let's Plays and that, you know, there's been a lot of discussion around it, let me know, because there is a window for me to sort of revive some other stuff, you know, to bring some stuff back in. Not that my series are dead per se, but, I don't know, but, there's room to look at stuff that was on the channel previously that perhaps we didn't finish, or we could even start again, you know? I'm up to that. Ultimately, if it's a bad game, I won't play it. But if it's a good game, I've got more than enough time, you know? I don't worry too much about the pecking order as far as what's going to go on the channel. If people are enjoying it and I'm enjoying it, then that's good enough for me. Alright, so, cool. It does sort of upset me a little bit having these, like, I like the progress of man, what can I say? I probably want to fill in all these walls at some point. But again, it's more about work effort balance. Alright, what were we doing over here? We wanted technology. That's actually our main motivation for this. So we're going to hook up that. We'll hook up 2 just because we've got the room for it. But now that'll be a big power draw, but we only really want to bang out 1 technology at a time. I suppose probably the best way to play this game would be to have dudes on the research station 24/7, like all the time. Because that's what's stopping you from winning the game, ultimately, right? Is the amount of, like, the research to sort of go into space and that sort of thing. Can I pick the technology before it's plugged in? I can too. Okay, so what we're going to do... Oh, we're right here, actually. We'll go to plumbing. It's interesting. I've never done this one first. Usually, I'd be doing, like food or something like that. Now, that'll chew through our power as well, and... yeah, the thing with running these two stations so hard early is it does mess with your power grid sort of balance. It becomes difficult to stay on top of that. Not difficult. I mean, it's probably the best time to sort of do it now is just sneak out an early tech. But yeah, essentially you're going to have like 2 blokes on the wheel most of the time. Yeah, okay, so, yep. So we're going to build a pump underneath there. Then we'll be able to delete that out, right? And I don't know if you... Because they're just doing their busy work now. So what's ultimately going to happen is if you want to look at... Probably do that, right? And then we're going to start putting doors on everything. It's just it requires metal and we didn't have a lot of it. So ultimately there's an inflow. This is for clean water, right? This is our point... Our interaction, our human interaction with clean water, right? They carry a bottle in here and they dump it down there, right? That starts filling up here, okay? Maybe we don't really need a pump in here as much, because my concern is that it somehow overfills, right? We might not build a pump in here immediately. It's good to game this stuff out loud. Okay, so water comes in here. This is just loose bottled water, which is unusual for clean water, other than mopping it up for strange reasons. So that's the other thing. It shouldn't overflow because there shouldn't be a lot of bottled water. It's not like I'm mopping up an entire reservoir. Alright, so they come in here, water gets deposited, and sits here, and creates a mini reservoir, right? Up to that high. That's fine. And then, if they want to draw water, they draw it out of here, okay? But, this is not going to be enough supply for that. We need a body of larger water, essentially. So what we then have is a reservoir. We put a motorized pump in there, and we run the piping up to here, and we put a shallow vent, I think they just call them vents in this, right? But it's essentially an out plug hole, right? So, you put it there, and the thing is that once the out of a pump goes, actually we can... Yeah, I guess we can just drill this out now. Once it becomes submerged, it will make the machine seize. The machine will stop pumping because there's nowhere for it to go. We need resources, we need metal. Need metal, team. Alright, we've got to be careful we don't give all our blokes hypothermia here. That's a very real possibility. Here goes the water. Can't get out of the bloody water, Frankie. I'm all for working hard, but what you're doing is dangerous. Because I'll get sick and start sneezing, and then that's a problem I have to deal with. Also, I feel bad for them. Alright, so say we put... I guess we could just put the pump at the top. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I guess we'll put it at the bottom. It makes sense. There's no need to do a half measure. Alright, so we're going to turn that on. So we run that power up onto the main. And we're going to plumb it. So let's run that up. Let's run this across. And what we'll do is put it just there. Liquid vent, that's what they call it. There you go. So that's how this will work. That'll draw water. It'll fill this pipe. The pipe will fill up to here. And then once essentially this block is submerged in water, which is enough. We don't need more than that at any given time. Then that'll block this pipe, which will turn the whole system off. Like, it's not like it whirs and splutters. It'll stop the system. And then as soon as the water level needs topping back up, it'll kick back in, right? And there you go. Now we have an automated reservoir of water down here that requires no servicing. It requires no interaction with my dudes. And we've got one little room, or it's a 2-room size service center, purely for the water in our colony. Now look at that. This is why I actually need to replace all the walls, because as I drill out, like that's because I ran the pipe through, they deleted the dirt. So I'm actually just going to update all of that now. Whoops, I'll have to cancel that. But... oh, for crying out loud, you fat-fingered idiot. Alright, just bear with me while I do that. I don't think we really need to do the boundaries just yet. It's kind of important to do the floors, because they move faster on that particular type of floor. Oh, we should probably finish this ladder down here. Alright, cool. Cool. Alright, team, let me know what you thought of that. Best way to support me is watching it, you know? And I'll start putting out more episodes of this, but might just leave it there and I'll catch you guys on the next one.